Hi guys, thanks so much for tuning into this video. I am Jay Theo, and today we're going to be talking about the concept of age when it comes to the gay community. Now in this video, we're going to be breaking up in three different parts. We're going to be talking about ageism, grooming, and the culture of sugar daddies and sugar babies. A big reason why I want to discuss the topic of age when it comes to the gay community is honestly, I feel like it's not a topic that's discussed enough in our community. And honestly, age in our community has a lot of negative impacts on how we see, feel, and operate when it comes to dating, relationships, making friends, and all of the above. So guys, with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into this video and let's discuss the concept of age and how it manifests in the gay community. So guys, as I said, I really feel like age is not a topic we talk about enough within the gay community, and honestly, it has a lot of negative impacts in how we view and see each other, and I really want to discuss that. So the first topic we're going to discuss is ageism, and I think this topic is super important because youth is such a hyper focus in the gay community. Like literally, if you're not young, it seems as if you don't matter, and that's why I really want to discuss ageism and talk about how that really impacts how we see each other in the gay community. So let's first off start by defining ageism. Ageism is a prejudice or discrimination against people based on their age. It typically applies to people who are older, but can also affect young people. Ageism has a negative impact on physical and mental health, and reports even link to earlier death. So ageism is really something that really affects our society. It affects the general population in a big way. But like I said, it has a hyper effect on the gay community. There's a lot of hyper concentration on the focus on youth within our community, and I really want to talk about how that really impacts us. Even though ageism can affect younger and older people, in the gay community, the people that really see the negative impact of ageism is the older gay community. And it's such an issue in the gay community that a couple universities has even come up with a term to describe this effect that we feel as we age in the gay community. And it's called internalized gay ageism. So there's literally a term that has been coined by a couple universities to discuss the effects and the negative impact it has on older men within the gay community, particularly men who has hit midlife and beyond within their age. So a study by the UCLA School of Law, William Institute, I love this school by the way, they always have the dopest studies. They did a study about internalized gay ageism. And the way they define this concept is, internalized gay ageism is defined as the sense that one feels denigrated or depreciated because of aging in the context of gay male identity. So this is really a concept and a struggle that gay men feel as they age, especially as they enter midlife and beyond. And this concept basically describes how one feels that they don't matter, they become depressed, and they really feel like they are invisible in a society that they grew up in. And that's really troubling that older gay men really feel that they're invisible, that they don't matter. That's like really depressing that that's how they feel. And it really leads to the decrease in their mental health, and honestly leads to a premature death. Like this is not okay that the older generations that have paved the way for the younger gays are feeling like this, like they feeling like they don't matter, that they're invisible. That is not okay, guys. We should not have our older generation of gays that have paved the way, that have done the work to where we can be out, we can be open, we can be ourselves, should not be feeling this way. And it's really sad that this is where we've come. But I feel like because ageism is such an issue in the gay community, and we see older men, we don't see them as human, we don't see them as people in our community, that is pure disgusting. I myself can say that obviously I'm a part of this society. I look at youth the same way that all of us do, but we really have to really start thinking about how we view older people in our communities. In gay community, yes, but overall, we in society, we in America, we value youth so much. We do not value older generations. We do not value the wisdom they can offer. And we don't appreciate the way that they paved and the work they've done for us to be able to be who we are today. So we really have to really do some work here to make sure that we are giving the flowers to our older generation and that we are making them feel visible, heard, and that they matter. Like the fact that the words that they feel that they don't matter with They actually did a study and found that these men really feel that they don't matter, they feel invisible, and that is not okay. And they feel like they don't matter, not just in a sexual, romantic sense, they feel like socially they do not matter. That the things that they did to make sure that we have rights and certain privileges today, that now that they have aged, that they no longer matter. And that, I think that's just very upsetting that we make a whole community that we're a part of feel that way. And as someone who is 30, someone who, you know, is still young but starting to age and starting to kind of see the effects of ageism in our community, I think it's just so sickening that as an older gay, you're gonna have this result that you feel invisible, that you don't matter, and that no one cares about your identity as a gay man anymore. And that's just really disheartening. But there are ways we can change this. And honestly, one of the most obvious ways is that we can still start building friendship, partnership, and connection with older generations. They say this in other aspects of life, even at work, even in general population. If we start merging more generationally, younger people start bonding more with older people, building this friendship, building these connections, it really can break the barriers for us to kind of eliminate the ageism that we feel in our society. I honestly feel like sometimes I do have an old soul. You know, I started working at a really young age when I was working in fast food places, and a lot of the managers and stuff were older, and I've created certain bonds with older people, and I wish I had that same bond connection with someone in the gay community that's older. I don't have any older gay friends in the community, and I would love that, to be able to get wisdom, to be able to hear what they went through and how they powered through and how they had the courage to be themselves and do the things that they did to pave the way for us. I would love to be able to build that bond of connection. So I know for myself, I'm going to make a generous effort to try to find older gay men that I can bond with platonically on a friend level, so that we can start to bridge this gap in ageism and stop making our older gays feel that they don't matter, they're invisible. Because at the end of the day, we are going to age, we are all going to grow up, we all are going to be older, and we do not want to feel that way. And at the end of the day, age is nothing but a number, and the way that we obsess about youth, not only in America, but in the gay community, is just toxic and problematic, and we need to do better. So my thoughts to everybody is we should all be trying to figure out how can we create more cross-generational connections with older gay men, how can we make them feel visible, how can we make them feel heard, and how can we start building bonds with older gay men. I challenge all of you to try to find an older gay man on a platonic level to connect with, to grow with, and to learn from. I feel like we all can put in that work. We can help do our best to combat ageism and make sure that as gay men age, they do not feel invisible, they feel that they matter, and they are not shortening their lives, honestly, from the depression that they are dealing with by feeling this way. So guys, that's my view on ageism and some of the things I think that we can do to combat against ageism. But moving on to the next topic I want to talk about when it comes to age in our community is grooming. And I do think grooming is something that makes it a little difficult for younger gays to feel like they can bond with older gays, because I feel like there sometimes is a dynamic that does not feel safe, does not feel accepting, and it does feel somewhat predatory. But I do not want to discredit the steps we need to take to end ageism, but I want to talk about grooming and how that also is an aspect of age in the community that we need to fix and that we need to work on. And I feel like if we kind of worked on these things all kind of in tandem, we'll be able to kind of see the benefits in our gay community. So first off, I want to define grooming. So let's define what grooming is, if you guys don't know, but I also just want to define in general so that we all are on the same page for what grooming is. Grooming is when someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person as a way to manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. So that is what grooming is. And it happens a lot in the gay community, to the point where it's kind of praised, it seems like, in our community. A lot of young teens, preteens, and young teen boys will develop relationships with older men that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, when they are still in high school, when they are young. And I feel like this is another toxic aspect of age when it comes to our community, because grooming is not a good thing. If you're grooming someone, you're abusing them, you're manipulating them, and you're making them see the world in a way that is not very true, and you are using that to your advantage to now take advantage of this person. And I think it's a huge problem in the gay community. A lot of gay men, when they were in their teens, have had experience with grooming or have had experience with older men reaching out to them, trying to take advantage of them. And I think it's just really disheartening that this is such an aspect of our community. And one reason why I feel like grooming is such an easy thing to do in the LGBTQ and gay community is because a lot of us are very vulnerable when we are young. A lot of us, particularly, especially if we're Black and gay, POC and gay, marginalized and gay, we are dealing with a lot of vulnerability. A lot of us are being kicked out of our homes. A lot of us are in low socioeconomic status. A lot of us do not have people around us that are gay that we can talk to, that we can be ourselves with. So a lot of us are seeking comfort and seeking community. And for a lot of us, our first outlet to gay communities was online. Was using our online presence, online opportunities to be able to seek other people that think like us. I know for me, MySpace was a gateway for me meeting other gay guys that were my age in high school, but I used MySpace when I was young to meet other gay guys. And even when I was in college, Black Gay Chat, all these things were our first outlet to be able to reach out and find other gay people. But when you are younger on these apps and on these websites, you are young, and you're being taken advantage of and reached out to by people who know you're vulnerable. They know that you're marginalized. They know that you're looking for a community. That is not a good thing. These predators are out there taking advantage of young people, grooming them, and making them the people they want to be at a very, very young age. Like, people are 15, 14, 13, 16, meeting up with these older men, connecting with these older men, and these older men know that they're in a vulnerable space and they're taking advantage of it. So this is something that is a huge issue in our community, and I feel for anyone who has dealt with sexual abuse or any type of manipulative abuse from an older person, from a predator, I really do feel for you, and I really just feel like this is something we really need to combat in our community. And the fact that we don't have a sense of community a lot of times in our home, with our families, with our friends, it definitely creates this level of vulnerability that opens the door for predators to come in and take advantage of us. And I think this in turn makes building that connection with older men sometimes seen as taboo, because it's like, oh, is this older man trying to manipulate me, trying to exploit me, or are they just looking for a younger guy? So I definitely think this is an aspect of the gay community that sometimes can hinder and induce ageism, because it kind of is making it look like older men are creepy, or that's all they want is one thing, or they're trying to exploit and manipulate. So I don't want to bring up this topic to take away, like I said, discredit the effects of ageism, but I do think it's something that literally makes building that connection with the older gay community even so much harder, because sometimes in the back of our head, sometimes in the back of a younger person's head is like, is this gonna be somebody gonna try to take advantage of me or exploit me? And honestly, when you're that young, you don't even have the frontal lobes to even think about these things. But even as someone in your early 20s, you can sometimes be, when you date somebody older or connect with somebody older, befriend somebody older, you may think that they're trying to take advantage of you because of your youth. So there is a double-edged sword on how we view these things, but I feel like we gotta start changing our mindsets, how we view the older community. Every older gay man is not trying to exploit, they're not trying to take advantage of you, especially if you are an adult. Sometimes other older gay men just want to bond and connect with younger gay men and spread that knowledge and spread that love. So I definitely think grooming is a huge, huge problem in our community. It's something we definitely need to work on, especially with Grindr, Jacked, all these dating apps that make it so easy for young men and young boys to be able to be the victim of predators. We really have to make sure that we are connecting and we are teaching. And that's also why I wanted to make this YouTube channel. I want to talk to younger gay people. I want you guys to know that it's not okay for you guys to be hooking up with older men if you are young. It's not okay for an older man to take advantage of you. And at the end of the day, you are in these vulnerable positions. But I want everybody to be safe. I want everybody to be okay, because a hookup, a meetup could lead to your death. It could lead to being robbed. It could lead to a lot of bad things. And I just want to make sure that we're all being okay and really think about grooming and thinking about and second guessing ourselves when we are meeting up with these older men, and these men are going to manipulate us, and at the end of the day are predators and trying to take advantage of us. So all that to say is grooming is another aspect of age in our community I really think we need to think about, and we all need to come together in our community, and we really need to voice these issues and speak up if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, if you're being abused. I feel like we need to be able to speak up and talk about these things so other people do not deal and take the abuse that either we felt or somebody else felt. Like, I feel like we just need to continue to be vocal as older gays in the community. Let's talk about these problems, and let's stop romanticizing sexual assault. Let's stop romanticizing grooming. Let's stop romanticizing that, because it's nothing cute about a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old going to hook up with a 25, 24, 23, 35, 50-year-old man. There's nothing cute about that at all. So let's stop romanticizing that as well. That is something in the gay community I think we do a bit much, is we romanticize these things, these hookups, these young hookups, and it's not okay, it's not okay, it's not okay. So one last topic I wanted to talk about when it comes to the age concept with the gay community is the culture of sugar babies and sugar daddies. This is another aspect of the culture that I feel like has a negative effect on ageism and creates this narrative that either a young person or an older person only wants one thing. And I think both of these situations, sugar daddies and sugar babies, if not intentionally something that both these people want and both these people intentionally understand, they are exploiting each other. Young people, knowing that youth is something that is prized in the gay community, can use their youth as an advantage to exploit older men that are lonely, that are going through internalized gay ageism, and in using that to their advantage to exploit them for their money, for a place to stay, for cars, for items, for material things, to pay off debt, whatever it is. So younger people can also exploit in these situations as well. But I also think as an aspect of grooming and an aspect of manipulation, an aspect of vulnerability, older gay men will use their money, their property, what they can offer a gay person in ways to manipulate and take advantage and control them. So I definitely think on both sides, sugar babies and sugar daddies have a negative effect on our community and just further induces the thought of ageism and the thought of grooming within our community. And I think once we start stepping back and start looking at each other as people, and that an older gay man is not always there to provide and spend money on you and to take care of you, and that younger gay men are not just to be used for sex and to be used to take advantage of and exploit, I think we really can start having the deeper connections that we want to have within the gay community. We can look at each other, and I as a younger gay man can look at an older gay man and say like, oh, that's somebody I can be friends with. That's somebody I can build a connection with. That's somebody I can bond with that does not have to deal with sex. It does not have to deal with money. Does not have to deal with any level of exploitation. I think we really need to start having those thought processes in our head to be able to build these connections. And really looking at older men as the wisdom they can offer. I've never honestly had a deep conversation with an older gay man besides some therapists that I've had in the past. I would love to see what it's like to talk to older gay men and understand what they went through in the 80s, in the 90s. I think that's why I have such a love for Dan Savage's Lovecast. If you guys are podcasters, I'm obsessed with Dan Savage's Lovecast, but I think it's because he's an older gay man and he talks about some things from an older gay perspective, and I love that. And I would love to have a black gay older man that I could talk to and have and really get wisdom from. I would love that so much if I knew more older gay black and brown men that I could learn from, hear from, and understand their plight. You know, especially since the fact that a lot of older gay men, a lot of them lost their friends and lost their loves, back when the AIDS epidemic was crazy and all the things they had to deal with. I would love to hear those stories, talk about how they overcame, how they had to come out, their coming out stories, what that looked like back then. So I feel like there's so much we can learn from older gays, and older gays, there's so much we can learn from younger gays. There's so much more different ways of looking at coming out. There's so much more different ways of looking at how we look at relationships, how we look at sex, how we view each other, and I feel like there's a lot of progress that has made within the youth, within the gay community as well. So I really want us to get to a place where we can look at each other as people in our community. We can look at older gay men as people in our community. We can look at young gay men as people in our community, not as sex objects, not as people to exploit. We can look at older men not as just people that can provide us money and provide this lifestyle that we want. So I really want us to get to that place because I think there is so much we can learn from each other, and I feel like there's so much of a community we can have in the gay community if we start to break some of these toxic barriers that are with our community. Because the thing is, a lot of these toxic barriers that are with our community are just aspects of a heteronormative society that we just take and we just blow up and we just magnify. Ageism is magnified in the gay community. Some heteronormative ideas are magnified in the gay community. And I just want to get to a place where we see each other as our brothers, as our sisters, as a community. I really want to get to a place where we see each other like that and we can start building those real connections within the community. So guys, with all that being said, I really hope that you guys found this video insightful as we talked about the different age concepts when it comes to ageism, grooming, and the culture of sugar babies and sugar daddies. I really feel this was a conversation that needs to be had. We need to talk about more. So I really want to hear what your thoughts are in the comments. Be sure to let me know what your thoughts are on ageism, if you've dealt with ageism, if you've dealt with grooming, if you feel like it's a safe space to share your story, please share your story. I would love to hear more about how you guys feel about ageism, grooming, and the culture of sugar babies and sugar daddies in the gay community. So as always guys, do your best to stay positive and stay safe, and I will see you guys on the next video.